Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, everyone. How are you today? I hope you're in good health and secure, safe. We are about to start chapter 17, Description of Merits. So, we're moving kind of quickly now. The first half of the Lotus Sutra is kind of repetitive, talking about skillful means, what it means to use skillful means, why up till now you really haven't heard the ultimate teaching. You haven't heard the experience of Dharma and how to achieve it. There have been misnomers from earlier teachings that some of you think you have attained what you haven't. So let me straighten all that stuff out, right? The first chapter, or the first chapters, the first half of the Lotus Sutra is almost apologetic, isn't it? But apologetic in the sense that I'm now going to drop the mic on you and give you the ultimate truth. You are now prepared. You are now ready. After all these years, I've dangled this carrot in front of you, and now we're going to talk about what it is like to experience that carrot. So everything you've learned before, it's okay, but it's only provisional. It gets you ready for this, right? So now he's talking about this. The last chapter, that final straw that everyone was attached to, he broke it. And so you guys keep calling me Buddha. I'm not the Buddha. I'm experiencing Buddha, and that's the same experience available to anyone who's want to try. What? Yeah, I mean, it was quite a shock. And we read chapter after chapter where everybody wanted a prediction. Tell us we'll get there. And finally, Shakyamuni tells him, look, basically, why are you asking me? Getting there has always been there. It's you that's in the way. You just need to decide. Basically, that's the Tathagata lifespan of the Tathagata chapter. You're not going to get anywhere. It's already there. Wake up. Must have been quite a struggle, right, for people of that time to come to terms. How foolish have I been? And we live in the age of Mappo, the age of greed, complete distraction by possession and having and collecting. Anger, manipulation, and backstabbing, and right machinations to achieve what we want with our greed, and foolishness, sometimes called stupidity, just because you don't see what's right in front of you. Well, why don't you see what's right in front of you? Because you're so inundated with distractions, not least of which is driven by your desires, your craving, and your clinging, right? That's the human mind, the samsaric human mind. But the mind is capable of so much more. And that's what Buddhism is all about. Opening that mind to go, wait a minute, now I see. When you understand the true nature of all phenomena, all of that grabbing and ownership is just, it's nonsense. It's driven by something with no purpose. It seems like it has a purpose, but it really has none. Experiencing what's happening now, everything is availed to you, and you are connected with everything. There is no need to crave because it's there. There is no need to cling because it's moment to moment. It's changing anyway. Thereupon, when the great assembly heard the Buddha explain that his lifespan was of such a great number of kalpas and immeasurable, limitless, incalculable number of sentient beings, were greatly benefited. So this is not something we need to get from you. It's something that's always being. I'm sure there was still confusion, right? Then the Bhagavad addressed Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya, saying, O Ajita, when I explained the great length of this Tathagata's lifespan, sentient beings equal to the sands of the 680 myriad of kodas of Nayutas of Ganges rivers in number, gained understanding of the truth of the non-origination of all dharmas. See, if you finally understand that nothing begins or ends based on your point in time and space, that everything exists and doesn't exist moment to moment to moment, that everything happens and is constantly in motion, momentum. Do you see the shift? Furthermore, 1,000 times this number of Bodhisattva Mahasattvas attain the power of recollecting what they hear. In other words, they re-listen to the teachings in view of, in more profound understanding of what was meant, the meaning of those stories and teachings. Oh, my nose. And Bodhisattva Mahasattvas equal to the number of particles in one world attained unhindered eloquence. Because once they understood the meaning, they could share their insights from understanding the meaning and become more adept bodhisattvas, more eloquent, more capable of leading others to this realization. Isn't that the way the mind always works? Now we're talking about a mind without the limitations of samsara, but even in samsara, when we learn more about a topic, we are better able to guide those that don't know yet how to understand, right? Eloquence. Moreover, there were Bodhisattva Mahasattvas equal to the particles in one world who attained the power of tenacious memory, which revolves hundreds of thousands of myriads of kodas of immeasurable times. So we don't forget, right? You ever say something at one time and later are approached about the same thing and you have to invent a new understanding because you don't remember how you used to understand it? Maybe not. It's kind of common, though. There were also Bodhisattva Mahasattvas equal to the number of particles in the great manifold cosmos who turned the irreversible wheel of the Dharma. And Bodhisattva Mahasattvas equal to the number of particles in two medium-sized manifold cosmos who turned the purified wheel of the Dharma. These are just different levels of understanding of the experience. Remember Dharma? Unlike the early teachings of Buddhism, where Dharma was often translated as the teaching itself, in Mahayana we understand that the Dharma isn't the teaching. The Dharma is the condition of being. It's the actual experience of. It's not about what temperature the cold is. It's about the experience of the cold. See the difference? Furthermore, there were bodhisattva mahasattvas equal to the number of particles in one small-sized cosmos who will be able to attain highest complete enlightenment after 8 births. Now, don't get confused. Again, this bias is still in the Lotus Sutra because of the translators. But anytime you run into this thing about births, future lives, it's all about birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. The cycle is in this life, not of this life, right? This from birth to grave isn't a cycle. It's an arc that experiences moment to moment, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. Because we're constantly in momentum, manifesting moment to moment, being, right? I mean, it's really easy to take apart. When we're kids, we're fond of signing our name to everything like it's meaningful. It's all about me, 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 me. And we don't see ourselves changing year to year, let alone moment to moment. But live a little while on this planet, and it doesn't take long. Usually in your early teens, you quickly understand that, hell, I don't know who I was 2 years ago. I don't even understand who that was 2 years ago. I know I'm a different person now. It's in our language. We know it, but we don't quite know it on the level of moment to moment to moment to moment. That's kind of profound. Okay. Equal, blah, 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 blah. Moreover, there were sentient beings equal to the number of particles in the eightfold great manifold cosmos, in all of whom the thought of highest complete enlightenment had awakened. So he's addressing this entire assembly, right? And he's talking to everybody's little subtly different mindsets, the various sentient minds, the immeasurable meanings, right, to each individual path to enlightenment. And he's saying, when you finally understand that Buddha isn't me, but Buddha is a state of being accessible to anyone who cares to work toward it, make effort toward it, awaken it, then suddenly the nature of your practice, the nature of your understanding, the nature of your goal, it's quite shaken up. It's new, it's different. And with just that renge comes new insights, new levels of understanding, new ways of speaking about this practice. And that's what he's defining right here, right? When the Buddha explained that these bodhisattva mahasattvas had attained deep insight, there's a word, into the Dharma, the experience, Mandarava and great Mandarava flowers rained down from the sky, right? Insight, whoa, everything's, so much has opened up in my mind, right? You've experienced that. If not in Buddhism, certainly something. Like the first time you had sex, rocked your world, didn't know those experiences were available, didn't know what that would feel like, right? It's mind altering. That's what he's talking about. Well, not sex, but that kind of epiphany would be the word, yeah? Scattered over the Buddhas who were seated on lion seats under immeasurable hundreds of thousands of myriads of kodas of jeweled trees, and they scattered over Shakyamuni Buddha and the Tathagata Prabhutaratna, who had attained parinirvana long ago, both of whom were sitting on the lion seats in a 7-jeweled stupa, back to the mandala, the treasure tower, They also scattered over all of the great bodhisattvas in the Fourfold Assembly. In other words, again, this experience of Buddhahood suddenly manifested in their minds. But instead of being manifested by virtue of Shakyamuni Buddha's illumination from, right, his third eye, his tuft of hair, right, that whole thing earlier, they are coming to it on their own. Big, big shift, yes? Oh, this is available to me. They're still working on grasping that, right? And it's not an easy thing to grasp. Finally, powdered sandalwood and aloes wood incense also rained down, and heavenly drums resounded in the sky with a deep and beautiful sound. 1,000 kinds of heavenly garments draped with strings of pearls, jewels, and wish-fulfilling gems, mani, rained down, filling the 9 directions. Now there's 9 directions. Interesting. Priceless incense burned in various jeweled incense holder, and its fragrance spread spontaneously throughout the great assembly as an offering. Sounds like our little ceremony we do at our altar, isn't it? Well, why not? He brought up the treasure tower again. So here we are. Above each Buddha, there were bodhisattvas holding banners and umbrellas that extended upwards into the Brahma world. These bodhisattvas praised the Buddhas by singing immeasurable verses with beautiful voices. And that reminds me, I should do an entry in the new volume 2 about Brahma, because we run into this term, the Brahma heaven and the Brahma worlds, and what the heck is going on with this word? It's used so many ways, so I'm going to add that to volume 2. Then Bodhisattva Maitreya rose from his seat, leaving his right shoulder bared, faced the Buddha with the palms of his hands pressed together, and spoke these verses. So let's see if Maitreya gets this lesson from the last chapter, because he was the one who asked the question, right? He said, how do you expect us to believe you trained all these bodhisattvas of the earth when you've only lived, this long, this many years? We're having a hard time. And then he said, well, you think I've lived this many years, but you're wrong, because you're looking at me as the Buddha. But Buddha has always been here. It's in you. You need to awaken it. It's always abided, because it's the truth of all phenomena. Oh, so the bodhisattvas of the earth aren't talking to you, Shakyamuni. They're talking to Buddha. Oh, man. That's correct, but it's a lot of mental work to shift from one ideology to the other, yeah? So he says, the Buddha has taught this marvelous Dharma, this experience, that we have never heard before. Well, they've never heard it. It's not that he hasn't been talking about it. They've just never heard it. The Bhagavat has great powers, and his lifespan is immeasurable. Not Shakyamuni, but the Buddha is immeasurable. It needs to be experienced, but it doesn't have a beginning or an end, unless you want to relate that to life itself, time without beginning. It's our perception of the cosmos, of the universe. Our limited, albeit samsaric perception. With Buddhahood, that's no longer a problem, because all of it is in this moment. As Einstein himself said, past, present, future, it's all happening in this moment. Nowhere else. Momentum, remember? We can get a sense of momentum, but that cloud's location. It's in each of our sentient minds, moment to moment to moment to moment. Innumerable heirs of the Buddha attained the benefit of the Dharma after hearing the Bhagavat's explanation and became completely filled with joy. I can do that now? Wow. Some attained the stage of non-retrogression, and others the power of recollection. Some attained unhindered eloquence, and others the power of tenacious memory, which resolves many kotas of times. Revolves many kotas of times, okay. There were also bodhisattvas, equal to the number of particles in the great cosmos, that's a bunch, who each turned the irreversible wheel of the Dharma. Turning the wheel means sharing, teaching, supporting, facilitating, right? Discussing the experience of Buddhahood. There were also bodhisattvas equal to the number of particles in a medium cosmos. Oh boy, a bunch less, yeah. Who each turned the purified wheel of the Dharma. There were also bodhisattvas equal to the number of particles in a small cosmos, who after 8 births, okay, 1/trillionth of a second, sorry, I lost my place, will complete the Buddha path. There were also bodhisattvas equal to 4 times, 3 times, and 2 times the number of particles in the 4 continents, who after 4, 3, or 2 births will attain Buddhahood. That's a little more specific than was in the alliteration before, yeah? There were also bodhisattvas equal to the number of particles in the 4 continents who will obtain omniscience after 1 birth. Instantly, in other words. You see, they're just delineating. Shakyamuni is saying, if you do this right, Buddhahood is yours. Maybe you need to work a little harder at it. Maybe your karma says that you're a better teacher than others, but we're all capable of instantiating our Buddha-ness. And as bodhisattvas in samsara, you will carry out the bodhisattva way, the Buddha way, through your bodhisattva associations in various ways. We're all different, but we're all based on the same truth. And sentient beings, having heard about the great length of the Buddha's lifespan, attained immeasurable results that were pure and without corruption. There were also sentient beings equal to the number of particles in the 8 worlds, in whom, having heard about the lifespan of the Buddha, the thought of highest enlightenment awakened. Some people were just discovering the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha. The Bhagavat has taught the Dharma that is immeasurable and inconceivable, and from which comes benefits as limitless as space. There's another way of, right? You talk about the cosmos and your mind immediately goes to stars, planets, nebulae, galaxies. But the point that it's as limitless as space means, oh, haven't been perceiving the cosmos entirely correctly. There's a hell of a lot more space than there is stuff, because space is stuff. Right? We talk about terms now you hear in science of dark matter and dark energy, right? And from the standpoint of physicality, the stuff we call matter, it's only like 4 or 5% of the cosmos. Yeah, there's a lot going on that we scientifically still are trying to understand, right? So here he is 3,000 years ago talking about it. Heavenly Mandarava excuse me, and great mandarava flowers rained down, and sakras and brahmas came from innumerable Buddha lands, equal in number to the sands of the Ganges River. Sandalwood and aloes wood powder scattered like birds in the sky, flying in all directions, and rained down over the Buddhas. Heavenly drums resounded spontaneously and beautifully in the air, and thousands of myriads of kotas of heavenly garments floated whirling down. Precious incense was burned in various jeweled incense holders, its fragrance naturally penetrating everywhere, in homage to the Bhagavats, in homage to everyone's enlightened mind. The great assembly of these bodhisattvas held myriads of kotas of tall and beautiful 7-jeweled banners and umbrellas. 7-jeweled banners. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Which extended gradually to the Brahma world. They hung jeweled flags and excellent banners in the presence of each of these Buddhas, and chanted thousands of myriads of verses in praise of the Tathagatas. Such things have never been experienced before. Hearing of the Buddha's immeasurable lifespan, all rejoiced, and the Buddha's name being heard throughout the 10 directions, sentient beings were greatly benefited. Everyone became endowed with the roots of good merit, and the thought of highest complete enlightenment awakened in them. In other words, what it actually could mean to attain Buddhahood. Until this day, Buddhahood was some far-off goal that it was your life's mission to work toward. Getting there, well, that would happen somewhere else. Well, that's no different than religion. It's a fanciful, magical thought. But for the first time, oh, we can do this now? Oh my, we can actually do this? Yeah. This sutra is a major, major revelation. For people who've been studying for over 40 years, they suddenly get told this, and part of them must be embarrassed. You mean I've been doing all of this stuff not knowing that this has been here all along? Why did I not understand? And so that part about recollection, you're going back, yeah, that was kind of in there. I just didn't get it. Now, aha, renge, I get it. Right? This is the Lotus Sutra. Where are we time-wise? Okay. At that time, the Buddha addressed Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya, saying, "O Ajita, those sentient beings you hear about the great length of the Buddha's, who hear about the great length of the Buddha's lifespan and can awaken even a single thought of willing acceptance." Really? That's possible? I can do that? Just that. "Will all obtain immeasurable merit." And by the way, merit is in the new volume 2 of Buddhism Reference. I get into it. "If there are sons and daughters of good family who, for the sake of the highest complete enlightenment, practice the 5 perfections of giving, good conduct, perseverance, effort, and meditation, with the exception of the perfection of wisdom, prajna, for 80 myriads of kotis of nayutas of kalpas, their merit is not even 100th, 1,000th, 100,000ths of a myriad of koti of the former person's merit." So you can practice all those earlier provisional teachings that I've been teaching for 42 or so years, and you'll never achieve the merit of anyone in this audience who understands this point. It is so small that it cannot be conceived of through calculation, or illustration. If there are sons and daughters of a virtuous family who possess such merit as the former, they will never revert from highest complete enlightenment. Right? Once you touch enlightenment, you'll never forget it. And your only desire will be to remain in it. Thereupon, the Bhagavat, wanting to elaborate on the meaning of this further, spoke in verse. And this is a long verse section. Well, it's not that long. Yeah, I'm going to pause here. We'll start that verse section in the next video. Am I making this clear? Is this working for you? Let me know in the comments, okay? I don't want you to be confused. And I know sometimes I can, I like to circumambulate. That wasn't the word I wanted. Oh my goodness, what's the word? Circumambulate. Circumlocute was the word I was looking for, sorry. Walk around a topic several times to hone in on it, much like the sutras do, right? Knowing that you can do this for yourself, that Buddha-ness comes from you, not to you. That's incredibly important. It's also maybe somewhat scary. Oh, so enlightenment, it's on me. I can't just merrily go along doing all of these, tasks, get gold stars, and hopefully one day I'll get a diploma. No. The diploma's already in you. You just need to express it. You need to experience it. You need to, hello? Really? I need to do this? Yeah. Right? Could be scary. But if you understand how your mind works, Namo Myo Renge Kyo, invoke it. And then experience it. Oh. And the more you experience it, the easier it is to invoke. That's the nature of the practice. It's the nature of life, really. All right. Thanks again. Thanks for your practice. Thank you so much for your support. Even if all you can do is like and subscribe, and I don't mean to diminish that, but I just mean that act is a bodhisattva act because it helps the Sangha grow. But if you have enough, if you have the inkling, if you have the ability to support this endeavor of ours, more books, more information, more videos, more podcasts, so on and so forth. Just buying an ebook is an influx of support, financial support, right? Any purchases, and if you're able to, on Patreon or PayPal, it's all incredibly important to help support this endeavor. So I greatly appreciate your ability to do that. All of us do, because we all benefit from it. So in that regard, be kind to yourself. Take care of your health. Keep your practice strong. Savor every moment of it. It is amazingly precious, yeah? And I will let you go. Until the next time, bye for now.